Good morning and welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Bob Hoey, the host today. Tom Bomel's out trying to make some money. I think he's at Foxwoods. He didn't tell me where he's going, but that's where I predict he is. Hope you win some money out there, Tom. I haven't been in touch with Ned Tommy, but last time I talked to him was about 10 days ago. Sounded like he's on the rebound, but his legs are still in pretty tough shape. So we pray for you, Ned. We want to see you come back. And we got one of my favorite people next to me, Mr. Union, I call him. He's Jeff Thomas, right? 429. Well, this one here next to me is a union person for Verizon. And I'll never forget this, Lee, when the strike for the Verizon was going on. I was working for a guy named Dan Durkin, right? And he told me, you got to go put locks on all the gates. And I said, really? And I knew I'm pro-union. I was a prison guard that had 5,000 members. The first building I pulled up to, I got hit in the windshield with 4 eggs. And what do? I put the windshield wiper on. Now you really can't see. But it was amazing how much furniture and things Verizon was getting rid of. I'm not lying. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, they purge every couple of years, every probably 5 years, they'll purge the offices, and some of the stuff they throw at you, you shake your head. You're like, whoa, wait a minute there.
Yeah, but I remember speaking up, telling Danny, we got to talk to someone, see if they can donate. They started to donate it to veterans' causes, which was a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I am a Verizon customer. I don't know why I stick with them. My bills are kind of high, but I have great service. I never have a dropped call, whatever they call it. That doesn't happen to me.
No, it's a good network. I mean, there's some blind spots depending on, where you are with the cell tower and the coverage and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty good.
Well, and last night, the Highlands group, the neighborhood group there, Ryan Ferrier.
Yeah,
I say Ferrier.
Yeah.
It's really like he said to me, say Maria, but put an F on it. So I try, but it's a tough name. I grew up with a guy named Ferrier, F-A-R-I-A, but this young lad did a great job at that forum, I'm telling you. Ferrier, thank you. And sitting on the sidelines was Nancy Judge, and she's only there to help all of us. If you forgot to say you got a party coming up.
Nancy's great.
Oh, she's awesome. And she helped a few people. Don't forget your party, and people announced that. And I always like to bring this up when it comes to political parties. You don't see me at a lot of them. I only show up where I want the candidate to win. That's how I am. I never went to the Lowell Plans parties. I never went to the Irish thing at the UMass Conference Center. That's my style. If I like it, I'll be at your party. And so I'm going to announce this. Daniel McFadden has a signature party at the place called, this will get John McDonough there, the old Burbank ice cream place. Friday night, she has a...
Well, Francisco's having one, too.
Yeah. And
Is he there?
that's fine. He was there last night. He did a good job.
Was Danielle with it?
Right next to me. The only two that showed up for the
Was she
schools.
looking her beautiful self, as usual?
Yep, she's a nice kid. But
Gorgeous woman.
to the right of me was Dominic Lay, and to the right of him was Fred Bahu. So that was the only four people from the schools, two at large and two that don't have anybody running against them.
Anybody video it?
Pardon me?
See anybody with video on it?
I didn't see anybody
I'll go
video.
on Facebook, look around, see if I find
Yeah, but it was a great time. I
You didn't
thought,
take any pictures either?
I'm not sure, John. All I know.
You were there. You
Yeah, I
did not
was-
take pictures?
No, I didn't see any pictures taken either.
And you didn't either.
No,
That's the cameraman himself.
No, yeah, I didn't do that.
Okay.
I posted something
I'm
this
just
morning.
chastising you, that's all.
That's okay.
Hey, how do you have one of those hats? I don't even have one.
What hat?
The Eric Gitschier trucker hat.
Oh,
I don't even
yeah,
have one of
you
those.
gotta have that.
I don't even have it.
In the middle of the forum, when he was questioned after I talked, he said that I was his campaign manager. No, it's just, I posted something about your brother this morning as soon as I left the house. He's just, to me, he's incredible, buddy. No one's done what he did, but I'm telling you, especially you, we need to work for you, brother, because I know there's a group that don't want him around. And
Yeah,
that bothers me. That really bothers me.
The palm cards come out now. It's going to be go time. So we targeted June, so it's going to start now, and
Yeah,
we
today.
already have a plan. So it's just, the weekends are going to be a little rough walking around, and that's just going to be the end of it. We just got to get out there, and
Yeah,
it's just the way it is.
because it's
I
easy.
just opened up Facebook, we'll always see right here.
Right away, yeah. But that's the information that he passed out to everybody going into Lowell Catholic's auditorium there. It was just a good night, and those people should, they need praise up there because it's early. They had it on the 9th. We pick up our papers today, so we'll find out who's running, and I'm pretty sure you got to wait till July 22nd to find out, because someone can pull papers at the very last minute and run out and get 150 signatures and join the parade, what I like to call it. But there's a lot of people that don't have competition. I wish everybody had competition, but they don't. But I'm just going to keep working for myself. I work for myself, and just by working hard for a few people in the past, I hope that helps me too, because that's my strategy. Work hard for Karen Casella, which I did. Work hard for Eric Gitschier, which I'm doing. And I'm not going to stop, because I do know I've had people argue with me over Eric, and I say to him, how can you not like this guy? How can you not like him? He does more than the average bear, let me tell you that, and we're lucky to have him. The number one thing I picked out of that last night was this, when they asked him, why did, they didn't ask him this question, but why did he leave his district, just his district? Well, he come out and said, I love the city of Lowell, the whole city. And I'm telling you what he's done for me, and I love to say it, I live in the swamp. You think that's going to help me get elected? People say, why are you running at large? Run in your district. Not how many times I called the Belvedere the swamp. It was the swamp for years. They lost. Get over it. That's the thing. Get over it. You lost. Tommy Golden in the swamp, I always point at Tom Bommel. He's in the new swamp now. And good luck to them. That's the way I feel. I'll get my share of votes in Belvedere. I'll just keep saying what I've said for the past 25
Well,
years.
Bobby, why do you call Belvedere the swamp?
Because at one time, I didn't live in it until they did the redistricting. I lived in Kim
I'm sure
Scott's.
there was some deliberacy there.
Yeah, there is. What they did, the way they redistrict things.
Take you out of your neighborhood.
No, John, to me, my neighborhood is Belvedere. My wife said, Bob, you're wrong. We live in Belvedere. I never knew that.
See,
But
I was always told on this side of the tracks it's South Lowell, and that side of
Yeah,
the tracks is
that's
Belvedere.
how I felt,
but
too.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah. But anyways, the way he said that he loves the whole city. Well, and I said, when I had time to speak, I said, listen, my granddaughter's 9 years old. She goes to the Riley School. 2 years ago, they had no heat, none. The boilers were down and broke. November. Are you kidding me? Who do I call, Eric Gitschier, to get heat in the building at the Riley School in Belvedere? We had no water at one time. Who do you call? You got to call Eric to get it done. Now this year they're going to get a new gym floor because of who? Eric Gitschier. So how can I not love working for him and trying to get him to top the ticket again? And I think a lot of them are grandstanding lately. He does the same thing year in and year out. And I think he's driven some people a little crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. Who would want to work for him? I wouldn't want to work for him. I like to be able to maneuver around, right? He's going to keep your feet to the metal. I've had people call me, Lee, and I'll give you the mic in a minute. I've had people call me and say, Bob, I know you get along real good with Eric. I really don't know Eric that well, other than what he does for me in the city. Can you talk to him? He's too much on me. Well, you mustn't be doing your job. That's what it is. Do a little bit more sweeping. Do a little bit more mopping. He'll get off your back. He's just holding people accountable where he works at the Greater Lowell Technical High School. I've only been there about maybe 3 or 4 times in my lifetime. The place is unbelievable. He does a great job.
Yeah,
Go ahead, my friend.
it's just accountability with him. If he sees something, he says something. I mean, he expects it to be done. I mean, and he does his homework. I mean, he looks like the budget. He knows it. I mean, I know when he got that book, he went through line by line. And if they really wanted to cut, he could have showed, let's cut this, let's cut that. He does his homework. If he's gonna bring something up, he has, he's already looked into it. He's done it. I mean, you can see people don't like the social media presence that him or Corey throw out there. Like Corey threw out there, right over here, actually, right at the South Common, where, and you know this, Bobby, how many times on a Friday you see everybody over there? Well, if you went over by the basketball courts, the grass was what, knee high? So, they both drive around and look, and they expect it to be done. Taxes are going up. They want accountability. And people don't like to be held accountable. And if you can get away with it, it's human nature to get away with it, right?
Yeah. And this has been my 8th different election, and I've never seen a team of people saying to other people, we got to get rid of them. And I've heard it in my own ears.
But on the flip side, if you look at
me.
I know people want to still pick on potholes, but they paved 11 miles of city in the last, 4 years? They fog coated, they seal coated. The streets now, when Nuco goes down the street, they're repaving and doing sidewalks. They weren't doing that, 10 years ago. So if you look at it, I mean, you can point and say, oh yeah, taxes have gone up, this and that.
I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice look. But Lowell and the streets of Lowell are a good reason to make sure you have a lid on your coffee cup. Now, you enjoy your coffee just as much as I do.
I do.
You're riding around in a company car, so am I. Do you ever drive without a lid on your coffee cup?
Never.
Except in Tewksbury. When you go out to Tewksbury, you don't need a lid on your coffee cup.
Well,
As long as you don't use
Let's-
Whipple Road.
well, hold
Right.
on. Let's.
Talking about 38.
But let's.
Where? Where can
no.
I go and take the lid off my coffee?
What did Tewksbury have that we haven't? And let's be honest. I mean, their town manager was there for what 15, 20 years. We throw them out like dirty diapers. And
Oh, no, we got this guy for like 75 years.
well, in the last.
The $1,000 a day golden man?
I look at that's the salary and all that stuff aside. They're starting to work on the infrastructure. They're starting to. I mean, look at Douglas Road. We just broke ground over there to fix
I know.
that.
Remember how long it took for the courthouse to come? Where's the
I-
the Rourke Bridge, same thing?
Yeah, the road bridge. Yeah. John, I can't. I'm not gonna.
You know,
I can't stick up for that. I mean, that's
Can't tell me
everything
that
you're saying
the
is
roads in
factual.
Lowell are great. The roads
No,
in Lowell-
they're starting to work on them, John.
Oh, here's your brother.
They're starting to work on them.
Ah, we'll get some action now. That's how he's listening to us. Hey, Eric, you want to talk?
Good morning, sure.
Okay, bring the phone on.
Why do we gonna listen to them?
I wanted to talk because it's the schools that worry me.
Well, I mean, I think that we got to go on to one maintenance. And
Yeah,
that has to happen.
Yeah.
Get this guy down here like this.
Is this my 6:30 in the morning call?
This is you. This is your brother. Morning, Eric.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Lee. Bob, thank you again for your kind words, but I think that's our duty is to do those things that you highlighted last night. Lee, thank you for always being there and helping. When John talks about the roads, let's all be honest. Roads don't fail in 4 years. They don't fail in 7 years. It comes down to road maintenance. It doesn't come down to, the potholes are here. They've been here because we've had field government for a long time and didn't do the road maintenance that's required. Now, how long will it take to repair that and get it back to a standard that everybody can live by? It's probably going to take 5 to 10 years. It's not going to be something that's done overnight because of the investment it takes to do it. Much like what Bob talked about, our schools and the maintenance. You have to, and the word is maintenance. You have to maintain them, not let it fail and then just throw more and more money at it. And that's the process that we're trying to put in place. And there will be an upfront cost because of the failures of the past. And we're trying to make those corrections as we highlighted last night, Bob. And poor vision is what causes a city to fail. And most leaders are gone by the time they fail, so they look like geniuses during the time they're there. But now, if we were to continue down the path that was always the norm, it all would have failed at once, and people would have been extremely upset. So what I would say to you is that in the future, 5, 10 years from now, elected officials are going to look like geniuses because all this stuff will be maintained, and it will be maintained at a lower cost. And that's what you try to bring out. There's an upfront cost, and the perfect time to put those programs in place was when you had the ARPA money. We failed in a lot of ways with that ARPA money. We gave it to nonprofits who are full of profit. There's plenty of money in their bank accounts while we struggle in areas. So, of course, they're going to try to put their slate together and try to win elections. And that's what people do when they want to keep control. So I do thank you guys for your kind words. We will hit the campaign trail extremely short, and hopefully we get backing from people. But it takes a vision to understand maintenance. It doesn't take a upfront thought process. So, the thing is that maintenance is a vision thing. If something is working fine, most people take it for granted, and that's not their driver. When things fail, that's where the driver comes in. And we've had a failed system for a very long time, and we keep doing the same things over and over again. The last 4 years, hopefully we have changed that, and you'll see the outcome, and our kids and our grandkids will actually have an opportunity to save those funds, and we'll have those roads John talks about.
See what I see. Part of it I agree with. Part of it I disagree with it because I agree with we have to have the vision, but we've never had the will to put that vision to. We can put a process in place in the city, but it's never been followed through completely all the way and maintained. We can go on and on about the different failures in the city, such as the buildings. I mean, we built new schools 25 years ago, and we were going to maintain those schools. Those are the same schools we're going through the state to get new boilers, new windows, new roofs, and we never really followed through on the maintenance piece. And I just don't know, and I understand what you're saying, 5, 10 years, they might look like geniuses. That's only if we keep going with the maintenance plan. You guys are struggling. I mean, we're struggling right now with the schools because it's not under one facility, Eric. And I mean, I know you're pushing for that.
Listen,
When's the election? This plan's going right out the window the day after the election.
It's possible.
You're gonna get your tax bill in the mail, and all these promises will go right down
It's possible.
the sewer.
Well, I disagree with John's philosophy there. For the last 4 years, even after elections, there has been a push to do this stuff. When you look at a building the size of, say, Greater Lowell, it's 600,000 square feet with the addition of the modulars in the Vet Tech building. When you look at that, that takes responsibility into the driver of maintenance. Our roof is old, and what we did is we decided, okay, we're going to put a maintenance policy in place where we're going to seam seal all those rubber seams on the roof because they expand and contract, and that's where you get your leaks. So we do it in sections. We figure it's going to be a probably 8-year period to get the whole thing done, but it costs like $7,500 a section to do. It's not a lot of money to seal those seams and make it work. So I think that those are the key drivers that the city we're going to keep pushing for, and I do think there is a will. But like John said, you got to keep people feet to the fire when they're after elections.
I have to say this about the schools. This school committee had the opportunity when Danny Rourke, the mayor, said, why don't we get together with the city and talk about facilities and maintenance? Couldn't get one vote to just go sit with the city and talk. We've done it when Kevin Murphy was here. We actually pointed the finger at Kevin Murphy and blamed him for everything. You'd have to go back 75 years to blame somebody. It hasn't been maintained. Our school buildings haven't been maintained in years. So the way I look at it, this school committee's happy with the schools. It's very nice. They're happy with it.
In fairness, Bob,
Yeah.
I had reached out after that vote to the school committee members. We're going to have a joint subcommittee on it, and I think it's going to come our way. I think that there's a lot of skepticism when you talk about state laws, and that's how you're going to get the driver to get something done rather than a conversation at the local level. And it really puts fear in people. Their fear is that because if they would vote for that law to be okay, that the city would have the power to take over other departments such as finance, HR. There were many things that they're in fear of, but the sad thing is no one reached out to us and asked us what our goals were, and obviously they weren't watching for 2.5 years when we were trying to put this together. And one of the major things, and I get to work in an environment where student learning is extremely important. One of the major things in any environment when you're learning is the building. It is the heat and air conditioning. It can't rain in buildings. It can't have mold. Those things are drivers, and we need to correct that. And I think that we're starting to, but once we do correct it, we have to have maintenance policies. We have a high school that we just spent, will be well over $400 million. If you go to that gym, it's atrocious. That floor, the way they're keeping it up after it got turned over to them, and they're trying to blame the contractor, which is totally unfair. You got a building turned over to you, your OPM, your building project managers and everybody okayed the building, and you didn't maintain it. Some employees were punching in and going home. So there are major problems, and it needs to change. And of course, employees who are not meeting the standard want to keep the standard the way it is, and that's not the case. You need to change it. And I understand everybody has friends, and everyone's going to run to their friends to keep things the way they are, and they get upset with you. And like you said, Bob, they're going to run to get people out who want to seek accountability. But at the end of the day, if the voter says that's what they want for accountability is to keep things the same, then they keep things the same. I'm okay with it.
Hey, Eric, what's the size going to be of the new high school?
It's roughly like 650,000 square feet.
So it's similar to Greater Lowell?
They're extremely similar. Shops are different. So when you have shops, Lee, as you know, some of the infrastructure in those shops are way more complicated than just cleaning a classroom.
No, I understand that, but I guess I guess my question to you is, how many maintenance guys are going to be assigned to that building full-time in the building?
I'm hoping the same as us four, but I don't know. And they all have to be tasked with things such as if a toilet gets plugged, because kids do that. You know, that's just the way the world works. It should be resolved right away so it doesn't flood into other floors and you get feces everywhere. It should be done right away. When you look at, like, even though it's a new building, some people will plug in more than the electrical system can hold, so it'll pop a breaker. Well, you don't want anybody just flipping that breaker because you don't know what actually caused it to pop. And at the end of the day, that's why you have electricians in buildings. When lights go out, you know, brand new ballasts burn. It just happens. You know, there are faults. So you want to have skilled people in a building that size so that you can maintain it at all times to the level that the teachers deserve and the school system needs.
Eric, John has a couple of questions for you.
Eric,
Sure.
you went to the thing last night at Lowell Catholic, and did you see anybody taking pictures? I'm looking at Facebook for pictures. Do you see anybody take pictures?
I did not, John. I didn't see anybody taking pictures or videos, no.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe because I was in them, they didn't want that.
No,
No, it's just, it's an auditorium. It's the setup's different. It's a beautiful facility.
I was
Well, you want to read
kidding.
these?
yeah, great. Jeff Thomas, great conversations this morning. Thank you, John, Lee, and Bob. Jeff Thomas, Lee is right. Douglas Road water storage tank has started. Can't believe Senator Kennedy has allowed infrastructure work or changes in his neighborhood. I don't want to bring up an old subject, but you know what I am talking about. Well, I think I know what you're talking about too, and to me, no matter where they built this school, you would have had the problems that you have downtown. You probably would have had storage problems out there. Who knows? But all I know is
The
we got
last one?
to... We got to get over that issue, though. And then Mandy Ayotte, good morning, my friends.
So Mandy Ayotte's part of the LPN program out of Greater Lowell. They do a great job. Their graduation's coming up, I believe, next week.
Yeah, well,
That's a great program out of Greater Lowell.
you know, I know my wife doesn't want to be part of my campaign this time. I've been involved in 8 campaigns, and she has her hands full with personal stuff in life. But there's nothing more
She's taking
important.
care of her mother.
Yeah, there's nothing more important to me than our school system. And that's why I keep hopping on it and hopping on it. And Eric, if you're still there, all I can say is thank you for what you've done for the Riley School. I loved your answer last night when you said why you left District 8 and run citywide. Why don't you say that again for the people to hear that for me?
Well, Bob, I just think that, you know, District 8 is where I grew up, and I still live. But, you know, when you, I'll tell you the story that, it's an inside story, a real quick one, is that if you're in Lowell, you know, everybody defines themselves as where they live. I live in the Highlands, I'm from the Acre, I'm from here. But once you leave that border of Lowell, you go to another community, they ask you where you're from, you say Lowell with pride. And then when you go outside of the state, the same thing happens. You say I'm from Boston, you know, because you can define where you're from. And when you're just stuck in a pigeonhole and you're saying, look, I'm from the Highlands, and you love something so much and you just want to see, you know, do people believe in the mission that you're doing, you go and you run at large. And I think that when you love something so much, you just put your heart and soul into it. The person to the right of you told me I was crazy to do that because I had a guaranteed thing. But that's been my life. My whole life has been challenging the norm and trying to make a difference. So that's really why we did it. And I was lucky and successful. So hopefully we have another shot at it.
I mean, I tried to talk you going back into District 8 this time. You wouldn't listen to me.
You did.
I could walk the Highlands 5 times.
No,
Yeah, and last night showed how much love I have up there for everybody, and how much love that they have for me. I just think it's a phenomenal city, and I do think we're making the changes that you'll see in 5 or 6 years, and someone else will get credit for it, but it's not about the credit. It's about how we're going to make this city a better place for everybody.
yeah, well, I loved your answer last night. I took it a little different. I think you said I wanted to prove to people that I love my whole city, and I know what you've done for District 3. And I'm going to quit calling it the swamp, because that's what I did for over 25 years. And I have to go up there and get some votes out of Belvedere now. And I know the people that voted for me in the past. I did win the school seat 4 different times, and I'm hoping that the people give me another shot. because nothing is more important than saving our schools and making sure they're maintained. And right now, you guys, this city council to me, and mainly you, Danny Rourke for hiring Liam Skinner was the biggest thing I've ever seen. Danielle McFadden coming out and running excited me. I couldn't believe she came out, because we haven't had anybody that wanted to run for the schools, not at large. But things are going in the right direction for me, and I want to thank you from me and my whole family for what you did for my granddaughter's school, the Riley School. So, again, thank you.
You guys are amazing, Bob. So, again, I thank you guys, and I'll let you guys get back to your show.
Hey, one thing, did you ever have a fist fight with any of your brothers? I fought with my Uncle Billy. I lived with Billy Hoey, but he hit too hard for me. He hit too hard.
My mother's house was full of gentlemen, Bob.
Okay.
There we go. Well, I'll tell the last story. We got into a fight if you really want me to. No. I think I still have a well from the garden hose.
Yeah. And,
That was from my mother, not him.
you know what I'm hearing a lot of people that they're sick of property taxes, sick of it. I feel like I get a good bang for the buck because I sit here with Sam Chase all the time, and he tells me we get a good bang for the buck. Like trash fees in Drake, they complain. I actually go out and tip my trash guys. I try to do it at least twice a month. $5 bill, a banana, and a bottle of water. That's what I give them. They always see.
Bob.
Yeah.
When you talk about taxes, last night you saw more political fluff than you've ever seen in your lifetime when they start looking at tax rates. Well, they didn't tell you that the adjustment was in the assessment, so all the business rates did go up a lot. And then so did the residential rates. Just because you're lowering the rate and adjusting it through inflation on assessments, doesn't mean that you're not getting hit. And lowering it artificially because you're raising the other one and calling it a lowering of taxes is crazy. People still look at their bills and see that it went up. So whenever anybody says that, I just shake my head, because the ideal thing is if the assessments are up, your taxes are up. It doesn't matter what the other number is when you're trying to pay a bill and you're struggling to get there. And again, tonight, we're going to have a little forward discussion on a platform that was put forward that is just basically, there'll be no more zoning, there'll be no more, need to go to the planning board or anything, because it's going to be a free will build, and it just can't, you can't sustain it like that. And that would be ridiculous of this city to take, but the governor is full of 3- and 4-letter acronyms that she pushes forward and then forces down your throat, whether it be the MBTA, ICC, ADUs, and there's more, right? But they push it into your area, and then they just basically want to make you a social service network, not a city. And there's a major difference between the two. And if people keep allowing this stuff, you're going to see this city's going to fold, because people like John McDonough and others who put a lot of faith in this city are going to be moving out of it. They'll keep a business here, but they'll move out of it.
Let me ask you a question. This low forward, because someone had posted it on Facebook and I read it last night. This to me is like ADUs on steroids.
It's a joke. Imagine giving a little housing authority 800 more units and put them in charge of that when they're borrowing $1.7 million because they can't fix elevators, and then they can't even pick up their trash. The city pays for it. Come on. It's a place where nonprofits are trying to money grab again, and it's not a good idea for the average person in a neighborhood. And you'll see, once Belvedere and the Highlands and Centerville and South Lowell see these plans, they're going to be shaking their head, because it is not good. And every time I've been to the planning board, much like Gibson Street, when Gibson Street has a 4,000 postage stamp lot, the first thing they said was, well, the Lowell Forward Plan wants housing, so we should be able to build on this. Well, that's not what the neighborhoods want. We have rules in place, and I think we need to, if we want to make adjustments at that time, I think it works. Taking power away from local government and having a free-willed building design is absolutely crazy for this city. And hopefully tonight we send a message to everybody that, look, you know what? the neighborhoods are still going to run. We're still going to have oversight. And you know what? If you want the nonprofit system to work like that and build at any cost, then let's get all the communities involved, not just Lowell.
What's going on tonight?
The low forward plan. It's
Where is it going to be?
City council?
Unraveled.
You can get it in the city council packet. It's down under the informational.
you should take a read of it. It was pretty. I read it last night. I don't know who posted it.
Before you hang up and go to work, that corner of Chapel and Elm, I use it every day. I did a lot of hot topping in my life for different companies. It's getting deeper to the point that I think we might have a sinkhole there. You might want to have someone just look at it for a safety reason. I know there's a list of waiting time to get things fixed, but I'm concerned that I use it every day, sometimes 4 times a day. That's a cut through for me, Elm Street and Chapel on that corner. You might want to have someone look at it just for safety reasons, that's all.
I'll give Aaron Fox a call right when I hang up with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Again, thank you again, and I'll see you guys on the campaign trail.
I'll talk to you later on. Thanks, Eric.
All right, bye.
Yeah, so this is how I feel, Lee, about the election coming up. We don't have a lot of people to come out and vote, you know what I mean? And when you keep doing your job like he's doing, you can bring yourself some troubles. And that's why I'm working overtime to try to help him out. But how can we change that to get people to vote? I don't think we can.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you make it you make it a Saturday. I don't know. I don't even think that'll work. People are busy.
On the you put on the ballot. We're not. Here's the latest idea the city manager's cut. But with to save money, we're not going to pick up your trash. Vote yes or no.
Well, yeah. That would be. You have to come up with something every election.
Every time.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with something. Yeah, you're right. Something like that would work. You'd get everybody out there.
Is what's in it for me?
It's.
Don't vote. What's in it for me? I don't know anybody who's running. What's in it for me?
Yeah, I mean.
We're going to shut your water off.
It's the same people that I think vote all the time. They've been voting for years.
You get
the same people.
You're right. You get that super voter list, and you can see who's on the voting list. It's we use it all the time. I mean, that's basically who you want to target, right? You want to knock on their doors, and I don't know, say one Smith Street, they vote. You knock on 1 Smith Street. Okay, 7 Smith Street votes. You knock on that door. 3, 5, and 3 and 5 don't vote. They're not registered, or they just don't vote. So you kind of skip by those houses. That's how it works. You want to target those people, and like you said, you're right. If once you could piss off a lot of people by trying to hold people accountable, and people that are pissed off, those are usually the ones that vote. That's why they're mad. They're being held accountable, and their families might not vote for you.
When the school committee had that vote on facilities and getting with the city, the union had a big play in it. Paul Georges spoke against it, obviously, because he doesn't trust the city. To me, it's the first time the city council does a great job. John, I did lock the door, so you know.
Yeah, I can see the union piece of it, me being the union guy. I can see the union piece. You have to sit down. Are they going to be out of the school department under the city? How's that going to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're under the school department, use the custodians. You're under the school department, right, Bob?
Yeah, I can see
I can see that piece of it. I don't know how you you'd have to negotiate that piece. Where are they? If I was a custodian, the custodians right now, if they see something, sometimes they report it gets lost in the shuffle. It's getting better streamlining, but it's not where it needs to be. If it was under one building, everybody under one building, there'd be no more finger pointing.
Yeah, I looked at that issue deeply, and when I seen the school committee not want to get with the city, I can understand that, because we've been fighting this issue of maintenance of effort, okay? Not too many people know
Right.
everything about maintenance of effort, and it just keeps lingering on and on and on. And I thought that was the perfect opportunity to go sit with the city and say, okay, we want to do something about facilities and maintaining our schools, but let's talk about the 50 million you charge us to be in your schools. Is it a fair price? Is the money right? That's where I think our
So let me
issue
ask you a
is.
question, because
Yes.
you were there. So how do you know, okay, use me as telephone. I'm in there. I'm there for a day and I can't fix it, but I'm charging you. You see what I mean? The city has to have accountability also, right? Just like the schools have their accountability. And that's why it should be under one house, because now you know what was done and what wasn't done, or what can be done. You can have someone walking through the building all day and not have the pot, but yet the maintenance accountability, they charge you for being in your building, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is a problem, because you don't know the accountability piece of it. You don't know, okay, what did I do? What did he do? Okay, at the end of the day, your timesheet says what you did. Okay, now I'm charging it off to the school department, right? And that's coming off the maintenance accountability.
You know,
The maintenance of effort, I mean.
I look back when I was 25 years ago, John likes to call it back in the future, or whatever he calls it. I blamed lands and buildings quite a bit, and I wish I never did, because it's a group of people that try their best, but they're just not equipped to maintain 29 schools on all your city property.
There's just not,
It's just, they're just not equipped
there's just
for
not
it.
enough people.
Right. And that's why I thought this facility idea that came out of the city council was a good thing.
Yeah, I'll jump over to the next one.
Shift over, huh? Beautiful.
Hey, welcome, Cisco.
How are we
Welcome.
doing, gentlemen?
Very good, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. What are we talking about today?
Well,
On this fine morning?
I'm gonna get you going by talking. Is your police department top-heavy? The one you just...
Oh, very top-heavy. I mean, we've had an independent study done a long time ago on, I think it was on Chief LaValle, which said, you have a top-heavy department and something has to be done differently. We have a lot of people that just meet for coffee in the morning.
So when you say top-heavy, I felt the same way working in the prisons. We have a deputy of this and a deputy of that and a deputy of this, and I'd be out in the yard with 500 inmates and a brand-new prison guard. And we were always understaffed, constantly. And it's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on you when you're understaffed.
I agree with you. Understaffing and also undertrained. I mean, you got a budget which is just look at the deputy's position. There's over $650,000 for a position that was filled by one person. And I honestly don't think we need 3 deputies. Those individuals are at will employees. I think we're going to, maybe this budget we could get through it, but down the road, what's coming with the cuts from the federal government, I think we're going to really have to go line by line in the budget. And I would bring on an audit of all departments in the city. It's time to really cut back and trim things and look, we need more people at the bottom, more Indians to do the work. And unfortunately, the reason a lot of stuff isn't being done is we're top-heavy in the city.
So when you speak top-heavy, if we took out the deputies, you're talking about the $600,000+, could the captains replace that?
Oh, definitely. I think, and they would love to. We have individuals that are very qualified to do more on managerial thing. I mean, it just seems like there's a small group of people running that police department, and I think you need to bring on more of the younger officers and also spread that knowledge and mentor. We need more mentoring so that down the road we can inspire these guys to move up and bring that knowledge, forward.
Yeah, well, I worked in the same type of structure in a prison. We got the shift commander, which is our captains, and the most important person in the place is the shift commander. And it matters how he treats me on what kind of work he's going to get out of me. Certain captains could get me to do anything they wanted, and I'd jump as high as they wanted me to jump, because I could get a personal day when I wanted it, and people would say, how do you give Hoey a personal day when he abuses his sick time? Another perk. It's a perk. They give me a day and a quarter a month of sick time, but yet if I use it, They want me to go get doctor's notes. It's amazing, the sick time problem, and I don't want to get into sick time. I want to stay on the top-heavy part. So what would you do as a city councilor to try to fix that top-heavy part?
I would really, being that I worked there, I know, but I also would be willing to advocate so that we have an independent agency come in. So it's not just me saying, look, you're top-heavy. And then reorganize that top part of the management. I really have confidence in the captains that we have in the police department. And we also have a lot of lieutenants that are acting like street bosses instead of mid-management. I really think that upper layer could be moved on, that money could be spent for training. We have officers out there that are making decisions that are not comfortable, and you have to build that confidence. And that only way you can build that confidence with officers on the street is training. And, not just once every 6 years. I mean, constant training builds good officers that have the ability to look at the situation and have that confidence to make decisions that sometimes are life or death decisions that really need to be made quickly. And again, without that training, without constantly learning that, hey, you can do this, they're not able to make those decisions quickly.
You are retired now, right?
I am retired,
Well,
yes.
good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
But something, I'm here to stay. I was born here in Lowell. I want to continue living in Lowell. I think we have a great city, okay? One thing I've always said, I am tired of being the dumping ground for the surrounding towns. I am tired of supporting the other surrounding towns financially. If we look at our employees, we have a lot of top management employees that don't live in the city. I just don't understand how you could pay $650,000 to some, 3 individuals and not have them live in the city. We're talking about, and one of the questions brought out in one of the meetings last night that I attended was, how are you going to increase revenue, especially business revenue? We have a lot of disposable income in the city, but it's not staying in the city. We have a big budget, and I think if we made some of those folks incentivize a reason for them to stay in the city, I think that money would be reinvested in the city, and we would benefit from that.
I mean, Cisco, you're a police officer. I mean, I worked with you on details and stuff. So downtown, there's a lot of social services downtown. And if you go there, try to go downtown and get something to eat for lunch right now. Try a Monday. There's nothing open. There's a lot of social services down there. What do we do with the social service? How do we get them to go something, and not downtown, I guess not downtown, to try to revive it? Because I don't see anybody coming in downtown to spend the disposable income you're saying. I mean, think about it. You got Salem, New Hampshire up the street, right? How many times you go up there to eat up in Salem? I mean, it's a beautiful spot up there.
How about this? I went.
Salem has free parking.
It does.
Salem has free parking. This is from Corey Roberts in Central City. I think the governor herself may have helped ghostwrite this horrible plan. And thanks for sending this to us. I'm not going to read this to the audience, but this is the city council's packet for tonight's meeting. And I'm going to guess the governor wants us to build all kinds of things, and to hell with parking, and people will find their way to their new home. And I'm telling my friends out there in the business world, I don't think the bank's going to give you the money to build these projects. This is all pipe dream. Okay, bank, go and lend this developer $10 million to create a housing project that has no parking. And it's not, in my mind, where I sit on different boards that make decisions about money, I'm not voting yes to lend you money if there's no parking for your unit owners. So that's from Corey Robinson. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
John, you have young Ju Chow coming on the show a little while, and she's being replaced by a guy named Dan Rivera, which is the ex-mayor of Lawrence. I have his number. I definitely can get him on the show. We'll have to give him a call.
Well,
But-
you and I can go round and round and round about
Yeah.
St. Peter's rectory project down here, where they went They brought a busload of their supporters from a different neighborhood to the meeting where the decision was made to let them build this huge structure on the former St. Peter's Church site. And, the people are so poor, they don't have cars. Drive by there anytime you want. Parking lot's full. Anytime you want, they're parked on South Street. I'll be right there. Thanks, Jim.
But anyways, when I was talking about Dan
Over you.
Rivera, he's now in charge of the coalition of Better Acre. And when I drive through the city of Lawrence, let's say, their downtown to me is doing better than Lowell's. That's how I feel. They have,
Bobby, I agree with you. I was recently down there to support one of their senators, and I was taken back. You know, for years, we were always looked down at Lawrence, and we always said, oh, we're better than Lawrence. Well, folks, wake up, because I was down there recently, in their downtown, they're thriving. It wasn't even a weekend. It was an event that was held on Tuesday, and I went out after the event. They had multiple restaurants, and the food was great. I mean, and it was full. All the restaurants were full. It was active. I mean, if we are concerned about downtown, we need to start looking at other cities and see what's going on. I think we mentioned the services downtown. One of the things I came across working with the homeless people downtown, I asked one, why do you stay here? Well, one of the guys said, oh, I came here for service and I decided not to leave. If you're attracting those people into the city and they're not leaving, we have a problem. I mean,
I just think you need to remove the social services out of downtown if we want to revive it. Lawrence, for the last 7-8 years, made a concerted effort to clean up the downtown. I mean, when I worked there was a parking garage, and it also helps Northern Essex to go over a piece of it. And people that say Lowell's hurting the city doesn't really understand what Lowell's done. If we remember up by St. Joe's Hospital, Gage Street was it was just, back in the 90s, I mean, you were on the force. It was a shooting gallery. It was crack heaven up there. And they cleaned it up. And I mean, they can tell me there's no taxes coming in, but there's disposable income coming in. We just need to get downtown, and I truly believe if we can remove the social service piece and find a centrally located out of downtown, we'll be able to revive downtown. People will start coming down, give the businesses some incentives to come in. I mean, I just think it's a pipe dream that you want housing on the second and third floor in some of these buildings. There's no elevators. So it's not ADA compliant to put elevators in. That's $5-6 million. And it's not going to be low-income housing, because if I'm going to spend $5-6 million to put an elevator in, I have to recoup that money. And, and people can say, okay, it's going to be a grant, we can get this, that. It's still tax money. So you still have to pay that back. You know what I mean? It's very hard downtown, the second and third floor. But Lawrence made a concerted effort, and I watched it. They knocked the buildings down. They put new buildings in. They brought in businesses. Northern Essex, like we have I call it a cooking lab on Essex Street, right around the corner from the office. Every 3 months is a different restaurant in there. And it's an incubation, I guess you can call it. And then off they go to a different area in the city. And you're right, Cisco, downtown in Lawrence, the food, everything's open. Try to get lunch, like I said, try to get lunch downtown today in Lowell. The Old Court's closed, in Tremonti. I think Fuse is open, Ramen's closed, El Portro might be open, I think El Portro's open, but we lost District 5. There's a lot of little places you just can't get lunch down there. And I just think till we can get a grip on the social service and get it out of downtown, clean it up a little bit.
Corey Robinson, she actually is listed on that plan as one of the contributors. Young Ju Chow is listed as a contributor to that plan. Well, I just want to stay on Dan Rivera for 1 minute. He's taken over the coalition of Better Acre, and it was left in good shape. Let's put it that way. I recently asked him for his number and see if we can get him on the show, because Lowell, if you look at our demographics in Lowell, we have a lot of Hispanic people, especially in our schools. We have, that number's really growing, and I think if we get him on the show, get him going, his claim to fame could be bringing back our city. That's what I told him. I said, Look at your city that you were the mayor in, how far that's come. My family's from Lawrence, originally. We came to Lowell because we seen a $500 home, and my grandfather bought it. It was burnt out, and he turned it around, and here we are in Lowell. But to me, there's nothing more important in the city right now to look at the demographic, especially in our schools. Our schools have numbers that you just wouldn't believe. You know, it's easy to point at Lowell High School, and I could say this all day. You have 1,000 children going to leave there every year, and right now, some of them can't even tell time. It's a shame. And they need change. They need things like, when I talk to the young kids, they want different food. They want food trucks. I couldn't even get food trucks to come to the high school because of that vendor. They don't want no one playing with the food. I never voted for that vendor, never. I was on 4 school committees. I don't like the way they treat the city of Lowell. They make a lot of money off us with food. They can't even take care of their staff. We take care of their staff. And the cooks in the schools, it's terrible. But Dan Rivera, he could leave his legacy here. Doesn't have to be adding low-income housing or veterans housing like young Jew Child did, and she'll be coming on in a minute. I think Dan Rivera, if we all get behind him and help, he might be the savior for our schools also, never mind just our downtown. And that's the way I'm looking at life right now. So I hope to get him on the show real soon. But Lee,
So, Bobby, we're running out of time.
okay,
Go to break, we're gonna play musical chairs while we're on break. And we'll be back shortly. So, put this guy back up again.
I think someone brought donuts. That's not a good idea for me, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
I gotta
Able to
stop.
enjoy a few
You gotta stop by the donut shop.
I almost did.
have to
I
go by
almost
the-
did, but
Cisco, you know,
I'm
you
taking
gotta-
pictures now, so I
You
gotta
gotta
lose
go by
some
the
weight.
donut shack.
Oh, I
Come
know,
on,
it's
I have to.
awful. No, I just go around the long way to
Yeah, I-
avoid
So
any
yesterday,
temptation.
I took a drone flight up by this company called Markley, that's the cloud, and they're doing a fabulous project up there, upgrading their power supply, and maybe Lee will talk about the telephone poles, and we'll see what
Where's
happens when we
this?
come back. We're gonna go to break,
It's the
we'll be
old
back.
fried
Thanks.
spaghetti.
Oh,
This
wow.
is up at the former Prince
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Macaroni plant. Markley's
No,
doing a
I
great
know.
job.
Did we give that company a TIF? I think we did. Good morning, welcome to City Life, and thank you for watching the Dawn Patrol or listening in to the Dawn Patrol on Facebook. I have some special guests today, young Jew Chow sitting next to me. Francisco Maldonado, running for District 8, is next to him, and Lee Gitschier, the brother of Eric Gitschier, I like to always say, and it's always great to have Lee on the show. I'm just going to stay on Francisco for one more minute when you talked about the police department. It's one of our major issues in the city. We're hurting for help. I believe we're going to have a hard time getting policemen, just like they are having a hard time getting prison guards. I worked there for 20 years, and they dropped the age limit to 19. But when you say top-heavy, I always felt that for my whole life. I only needed a good sergeant. That's all I needed. The other ones, sometimes I felt like it was a waste of time even dealing with them. I'm only talking inside the walls of a prison. I'm not saying what it's like on the streets, but you're a retired policeman, correct?
That is true. I'm retired this year, March 1st.
Okay. Now, on the Dawn Patrol, when you came in, for the first time, I thought you were unbelievable, talking about the top-heavy part of our police department. I'd like you to go over that again. I know this is going out on LTC, which is a TV show. Top-heavy. Speak about that one more time for me, please.
Well, you know, we're getting into budgets now, and we're looking at money closely because things are getting a lot expensive, and our taxes are going up, and their disposable income is going down. So I was just looking at the budget for the police department because I work there. And honestly, there are positions there that could be eliminated that are not going to affect public safety. All right. My commitment, my will is to the community and to my neighborhood up in the Upper Highlands. And safety and security is very important. But we have 3 deputies in a position that was manned by one person for a long time. After a study that we had that was done independently, and I think Chief LaValle was the chief at that time, that said, your department is top-heavy. We should, reevaluate our management and determine if we really need those folks up on top. I think a chief and the number of captains that we have, we would have a fine department. And also, you're going to broaden the scope of these captains that are looking to learn more on management, top management, and are looking to be chiefs down the road, whether it be in the Lowell Police Department or other departments. I mean, I think now where we're cutting budgets, we should use that money for training. We have a lot of officers, young officers. As you know, just mentioned, the turnover is very big now because a lot of people are not coming in. We have, I think we have 14 people in the police academy right now, and we have over 30 open positions in the police department that are funded. And those positions for a police officer are $100,000. And if you got 30 times 100, you do the math. Isn't that 3 million, right? And that's a lot of money. And then if you have almost $1 million in top management, there's $4 million. We were just talking about $4 million, I don't know. I think we definitely should audit all our departments in the city, especially knowing what's coming down the road. We're going to have less money in the next fiscal budget, and it should start now. We shouldn't be waiting to 2026 to start cutting jobs and looking at top managements in our police departments and other departments. I think we've had some good times where people had extra money and they were able to create jobs, but it's time to look at those jobs and look if we really need them.
So you retired from the police department. How many years did you have?
29 years. I started in 1996. I came right after I left the Air Force. We got caught up, a bunch of us got caught up with the economy in the 80s, and we all took all the civil service exams and stuff like that. So we ended up being pulled into the Air Force. I ended up in the Air Force. And then what happened, those exams were activated once we served our term and we were offered jobs. I really didn't think of being a cop till 3 weeks before the police academy. I wanted to pursue my first instinct was to be an engineer like some of my family members and work for Raytheon. But I also knew that there was a good pension on if I completed my terms with the police department, which I did. And I'm happy. I'm thankful, too, to the citizens in Lowell.
You know, I did meet your wife last night at the Highlands Lowell Catholic
I think
Candidates
she's
Night. Pardon me?
I think she's my guy.
Well, anyways,
Everyone's your cousin.
I just like to, I'm only going to ask you one more question, Francisco. I learned a little bit about you last night. Now, you have a fishing boat and you like to go fishing, but what would make you want to run for city council, being a retired police department?
I really think we've lost track, the city council presently lost track, that we're a poor city, okay? We need to work on making sure some of those poor folks, I was one of them. I lived in Shaughnessy Terrace, and I worked very hard to get where I am now. I think we should look at working with our community a little better and hoping that we can bring those folks forward and give them opportunities, especially jobs in the city. One of the things I mentioned earlier, we have large income jobs that the employees don't even live in the city. So I really would love to see more of those high-paying jobs, being employees that live in the city. I think that will make the city better, and it just gives our kids, and we were talking about the low number of recruits for the police department. I think we need to really concentrate on doing something at the high school where we can motivate these kids to look at policing as a career, especially the pay they're getting paid now. There's a lot of money to be made there, and if you're a poor kid and you don't have much, you can really obtain that, and you can obtain it in your own city, and take some pride. Like when I decided to run for city council, one of the things that the other officers were concerned was my safety. I said, well, I've been here 29 years. I've never did anything wrong to worry about someone hurting me or my family. I've always went out there and treated people fairly with some empathy and integrity and treated everyone like I would want to be treated. So, running for city council was the next step. I want to continue with my public service to the community. I like to continue, especially the Hispanic community. It's time for them to move up. It's time for them to get involved in politics. It's time for them to vote and demand representation everywhere, you know what I mean? And also help the next generation. I really think that we fell behind by not speaking English or enforcing our older folks to learn to be involved. I think that's something that holds us back, but I think that's changing. I really do. I think it's time for everyone to come together and get more involved in the community. That's the only way we can make it better.
Francisco, you were a cop for 20 years in Lowell. Mm-hmm. How much more dangerous is it to be a cop in 2025 than it was in 2005?
I mean, realistically, I don't think it's that more dangerous, but we do have a lot more people on the street that have mental illness, and that is dangerous. When you're dealing with someone that's not there 100%, there is no way to determine what their next course of action is going to be, and also they're putting themselves in harm's way. They're grabbing weapons and putting us in situations where we have to make a choice whether this is going to be a life or death decision. And when you're dealing with someone that's not mentally there and they put themselves there and we have to react to that, someone gets hurt that probably shouldn't be hurt because someone failed to deal with the mental illness part of that person's life.
Where do we fall down on taking care of the mentally ill people?
I mean, look at the facilities. We've closed down a lot of facilities. Honestly, I've said this numerous times out campaigning on. I, as a sergeant, had to call numerous parents and inform them that their child was found dead, okay? And these were folks that I dealt with that abused drugs. And they also committed misdemeanors, and we send these people to court and they release them. I think it's time to start looking at, just like we look at on motor
Make them
vehicle
clean the park or
offenses.
something? So put them in jail first time, or make them clean the park? What would be a good solution for these first-time troublemakers?
Well, I mean, I think everybody's entitled to make mistakes, okay? But if you're constantly doing the same thing, and then you're under the influence of drugs,
Just hang on for a second, because I love this get out of jail free card, okay?
I'm not saying get out of jail.
So I'm a little punk, okay? I'm a little punk. I walk around and I don't give you this finger, I give you another finger, okay? Right up to your face. Then I spit in your face, okay? Just because I didn't mean to spit, but I slur when I talk it. What should happen to me? Oh, nothing. There's no, at what point do I lose my get out of jail free card? I have to kill somebody. In Massachusetts, just name one thing that you go to jail for instantly and you can't get out. And the answer is a big bowl of breakfast cereal called Nut and Honey. There is nothing you can do to go to jail and you can't get out. Massachusetts courts, our city council should tell the judge, hey, come on down to a city council meeting. We want to talk to you about the lack of severity that you proclaim on our criminal makers in Lowell. And then maybe you'll see some action happen. The judges can't keep letting people off the hook. And the same thing with the cops. Stop and letting people, like watching Los Angeles. They're smashing the windows of police cruisers. And what are the cops doing? They're eating their breakfast cereal. A bowl of nut and honey. At what point do we do something? To me, if I were Trump, I'd say, okay, tell the National Guard, go and grab everybody in that group. Everybody. And let's have an interview. Did you throw any rocks? Am I going to see any videos of you throwing any rocks? This is wrong. And the media is pushing this because you know what? It's eye candy. We have 10,000 people watching this. If it bleeds, it leads. The media loves this stuff. I'll let you respond.
I'm the host right now, so if you don't mind me taking back over for just a second. This is your first time, Francisco. Sorry, I used
No, that's fine. Francisco.
I knew there was a reason why I liked you. I didn't realize until I let you talk a little bit that you came from Shaughnessy. I came from 220 Shaughnessy Terrace. That's where I came from.
53, top of the hill.
Yeah, and I was down near the bottom of the hill. But I can say this, if it wasn't for my Nana, you might say grandma, you might say meme, whatever your name is for your grandmother. If it wasn't for my grandmother, I wouldn't even be sitting here today. Can you picture this world without grandparents? What it would be like right now?
Oh, something, it's important to take control of your child early and make sure they know who's in charge. I mean, I think that's one of the issues we have. Unfortunately, society has changed a lot. You can't use the belt anymore, and I'm not saying that's what you need, but it kept us in line. And also, we went to church. Even today, we as adults that went to church look up when we do something we're not supposed to do and say, God, forgive me, or I hope you didn't see what I just did. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Those little things early in age, like we were talking about some of the issues downtown with the students down there. It's too late when a kid's in high school. It has to start early. We have to spend more money on early education. That's, it's been proven that by the age of 7, that child's little personality is already developed. And you're not going to change that. It's just like a puppy. You let a puppy make a mess on your rug, guess what? It's going to continue doing that as a full-grown dog. My dog, Diego, which is my best friend, he listens to me well because we spent a lot of time when he was a puppy so that he knows I'm in charge when I speak.
I think
and
the problem with the younger kids is we don't have truant officers at the lower levels. Like, you need to get these kids into school. They can't stay home. Not everything's a mental health day. You have to get them in school. They can't learn from their house. And it's showing as we go up in the ranks in school where, the performance, and I know, look, I'm not a big MCAS fan. Greater Lowell, we have to do double the work in half the time. They're in shop, then they're in class. I'm not a big MCAS fan, but we need to have something for accountability. You need to say, okay, these kids are progressing to graduate here, here's where it is. Now, people hate MCAS, I'm not a big fan of MCAS, but it's there. We need to have something in place to say, okay, we're showing progress. And Bob's right, we got kids coming out of high school that shouldn't be coming out of high school. And it starts, just like you said, it starts at the foundation, it's a learned behavior, we have to go to school. So you're out a couple of days, someone should be knocking on the door, why isn't the child in school? Oh, you're having trouble getting to the bus, well, let me show you how. It's just, we need to get these kids into school, and you're right, you're 100% right, the future's the kids. And I mean, if we can't teach at the lower level to get them into the upper level, we have a problem. And yet, Siskey, you're 100% right with the mental health. It started under Dukakis when he started closing facilities. Instead of fixing the problem, it was easier to close it. And that's the problem we have right now. Instead of zeroing in on a problem, it's easier, hey, we're just going to get rid of it. And that's just not the way to do business. You have to fix the problem. In Verizon land, if we don't like something, we just shut it down. Well, you don't have to shut it down if you zero in and fix that problem. And it's like that anywhere else. I mean, you felt it at CBA. You've had trials and errors where you're like, hey, hold on, this isn't going to work, but let's zero in on the project, on the problem. It's just the way it is. Yeah, it's easier to shut something down than it is to fix the problem. To go in there and say, hey, we need to fix it.
Lee, jump in again anytime you want. And Francisco, for your first time on, I think you've done a super job today. So thank you for being here, number one. I'm going to jump over to the person that brought donuts in today.
Yes, I know.
well-
I'm looking forward to eating some of those.
Well, before you came in, young Joe, I was talking about Dan Rivera that took over your job. And I just think he can do great things for us, coming from where he did, Lawrence being the mayor, things like that. I think he's bringing something different than what you did. I think you did a great job as far as housing and all over the place, Haverhill, everywhere, veterans housing, all this stuff. And you pay taxes. That's the point I wanted to make. A nonprofit that pays taxes. That was, to me, once I heard that about you, and you know where we met.
Right across the street.
Right. And Francisco, when you
Not
look
at the donut shop?
No.
He actually stopped me, and he's like, "Do you know who's building that building? And they don't pay taxes." That was actually our
Yeah,
first
that was our
conversation.
first conversation. All right, but Francisco, see out them windows right now when you look at the TV? I went to that school 4 different times over there, and I've said it 100 times here. That's where I learned more discipline in that school than I did in the U.S. Army. I got the ruler so many times in that school, it was unbelievable, all because I couldn't read. All through school, till I got to my junior year at Lowell High School. Finally met a lady named Mrs. Keeley, and she put me on the road to success. She put me against the wall physically and said, "Bob, you're not going to make it here. You should join the Army." And the Army took a dropout. I went in the Army, got my high school diploma. They helped me get a home, all kinds of beautiful things. And we don't take dropouts in the U.S. Army. To me, it's crazy. The Air Force is a different game. I know that's what you were in, because you have to have a good IQ, let's put it that way, to get in the Air Force. But the Army, they only taught me how to be infantry, a grunt, I was called, an 11B-10. More discipline than I could ever imagine, but they didn't realize I had to go through George Balser as an offensive line coach in 1969 in the Rogers School. That's who I give all the credit to. And when I won my first time on the school committee, I went around to everybody. I weighed about 260, shaking hands, saying, "Remember hitting me?" And all those teachers said, "Shh, you can't tell people we hit you." And I did. This is gospel. And I says, "I'm here to give you a pay raise." Because I think teachers today are still underpaid. I mean, I can get $75 to $100 to watch a pothole, like a police officer can. At least 75. Some maybe make more than that.
Well, we're gonna go to break.
Yes, sir. We're going on the break, but then we'll come back with some.
But you guys can have
Young
donuts.
Jew chow.
Take me about
We're
5
having
minutes.
donuts now?
You're gonna have donuts.
I'm looking
Yeah.
for, where's
Shut
my
your
donut?
mics off. My mic's the only one that's working now. So, let me stop this static. Take it out of my pocket. Okay. If you want an announcement on this show, easy thing to do, send me a text. That's my cell phone number, and we'll put it out there. First of all, we got neighborhood meetings. Every neighborhood in Lowell that the Lowell Police Department is aware of, this is their meeting. agenda that's up on the screen right now. The next meeting coming up, the Coalition to Improve, an Acre Coalition to Improve Our Neighborhood. That's going to be June 18th at the, I don't know where it's going to be. Doesn't say. It just says Coalition for a Better Acre. So I don't know where that's going to be. And Belvedere Neighborhood Association, same thing, to be determined where they're going to meet. So interesting. But at any rate, that's where the meeting's going to be, so be in touch with whoever runs your organization. They'll tell you a little bit more. Every Friday through October, they're going to have a farmer's market in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, where they'll have some fresh food there. They'll have some games for the kids from 2 to 6 p.m. every Friday afternoon. And it's at 350A Dutton Street. What you're going to do is you go down Dutton Street. You're heading towards City Hall. And right across from Broadway is a bridge. Take a right on that bridge, and immediately on the left-hand side, you're going to see this farmer's market. So, good time to be had by great food, good idea. Moving right along, today is June 10th. Now, June 10th, every day, 7 days a week, the Lowell Senior Center has lunch. So mosey on over there, and actually they have breakfast 7 days a week too. They have muffins and coffee. But I just speak about the lunch, so today is June 10th. And they're going to have roast pork loin with gravy. That's today. So you go in there around 10:30. You see Tara. Go in the front door, see Tara, give her $2, maybe $2.50. She'll give you a ticket. If you don't have the money, they give you a ticket for free. So around 11 o'clock, they come out with the food, and you can be walking out there at 11:30. It's a bunch of old-timers like me and you. You don't have to live in Lowell. You can live in Timbuktu. The only rule is you got to be 60 years or older. So welcome to go to that 7 days a week. Out in charming Chelmsford, today is June. They have lunch every day there, too, and they'll take any Tom, Dick, and Mary. You could be under 60. You just got to pay $4.50 to eat. So that's their rule out there. So today, they're in charming Chelmsford, at the Chelmsford Senior Center, they're going to have a chef salad, ham, turkey, cheese, pasta, salad, and apple. You don't have to live in Chelmsford. You can live in Timbuktu. Now, their senior center is at the top of the screen there, is 75 Groton Road in North Chelmsford. Beautiful facility they have. Lowell's is better, but it's a beautiful facility they have. Okay, Monastery of St. Clair. If you have somebody that needs prayers, just call them up. They usually answer the phone, tell them what your issue is, and they'll say some prayers for you. And if they don't answer the phone, just leave them a voicemail, tell them what your issue is, and they'll pray for you. Great group of sisters, the Poor Clare nuns out in Andover. Okay, Kim Scott.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying.
The committee to re-elect Kim Scott invite you to a campaign fundraiser for Kim Scott, Lowell City Council, District 5, on June 11th. So that's tomorrow. At Cavaliero's, I know I'll be over there. Cavaliero's is always delicious. So looking forward to seeing that tomorrow from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at Cavaliero's. And donations start at $20 and go up. Coming up this week, June 13th. You like Greek food? Well, it's your lucky weekend, baby. So you head over to 41 Broadway Street. That's the church with the gold dome. And they're going to have all kinds of great food there. I've been to this plenty of times. A delicious time. On Friday, it starts at 4, ends at 9. And you can see everything that's going to be going on here on the left-hand side. So if you take your camera, your phone out of your pocket there, take a picture of this, it'll tell you all the food that they're going to have down here and the times. And they'll be glad to see you over there. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Saturday starts at noontime, ends at 10. And Sunday starts at noon, ends at 6. So if you want some great, delicious Greek food, you might see me over there too. Okay, school's going to be ending. Tewksbury's already bragging about it. Good for them. I'm glad the teachers and the kiddos are going to be enjoying a good summer. Okay. Cisco Maldonado, he's going to have a signature party. I think this is a great idea. And it's going to be next week, Wednesday, June 18th. Now today, in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, if you want to run for public office, school committee, or you want to run for city council, I don't, hey, Lee, is the regional guys running this time? Regional guys? Yes. And if you want to run for regional school committee, you got to pull your papers from the city council, and I'm sorry, city hall, get on the election commission office. I talked to the big boss yesterday. His name is Will. Nice guy. We had a nice little chit chat, and we have it in writing that you just need signatures from any registered voter in Lowell. They don't have to live in your district. So you can be running in District 1 or District 95, whatever district you're running in, and any Lowellian who's registered to vote can sign your papers. They don't have to live in your district. But this is a great idea. Francisco Maldonado is going to have a voice for your neighborhood, Lowell City Council, District 8, a signature party. Join us. This means anybody who's running for office and anybody who wants to sign. Join us for an evening of community conversation and civic action with free food and music as we gather signatures to officially place Francisco Maldonado on the ballot on Lowell City Council District 8. So if you're running for office, head up there, bring your papers, and you can grab some signatures with some of Cisco's friends on Wednesday, June 18th, 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Mount Pleasant Golf Club, 141 Staple Street. That's up on the Islands. Okay, wait a sec. We got more of these guys here. Close this window. Okay. We have Danielle McFadden, the future of Lowell Public Schools. She's going to have a signature party too on Friday, June 13th. That's this week. And come and sign my nominations, pick up a lawn sign and say hello. And it's going to be at the Sweet Bar, 500 Pawtucket Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Crafts, games, ice cream, and Danielle McFadden, great gal. And so consider that. Also, you hungry this afternoon? Fitzy's over on Lawrence Street. Right next to, it's real close to Sykes the Florist, a little strip mall there. They're going to have lunch until 2 p.m. So that's something new happening in town. Bobby, I'm going to go back over to you. You good to go? Going to put your mics back on. And here we go now.
Welcome back, John. Young Jew might have sent you something. Did you send him?
Not yet.
Not yet? That's okay. I'm going to pass it over to Young Jew. Tell me what's on your mind, even though Dan Rivera is now running Coalition A Better Acre, and I feel good about having him here. But tell us a few things why you're here today and what's on your mind. I know it's an election year, so you must have something going.
Well, there's so much going on, but I do want to say Dan is such a great person to take over CBA, and Dan's innovative. He has he's done a lot in Lawrence, and I'm actually really excited for Dan to do something big in Lowell. So I agree with you. I think he's going to take the organization into a very different place, but he and I have very different kind of skills, and my focus was a little different when I came to Lowell, because CBA, as long as CBA's been around, CBA wasn't as known to many people in the community, other than people that are in housing. So it was really my intention to get CBA out to the community, and now I think everybody knows CBA. Everybody knows CBA pays taxes and all the good things. And times are very different, but core mission of CBA is always going to be affordable housing. As we talk about kids and school and all of that, but if you don't have stable home, if you don't have safe and stable home where kids can actually get good night's sleep, kids can't perform when they go to school. So it is just so important for people to have quality, affordable housing, and we absolutely don't have enough of it, and it's just incredibly expensive now to be able to build, which is the biggest concern for people that are in housing world, and I'm not sure what they can do. This needs to be a big policy change, not just locally, but statewide and national-wide policy change. And the way CBA and organizations like CBA build is through tax credits, and there's so much regulations attached to it. And if there are ways to deregulate some of that, I think that could actually help organizations like CBA, CTI, LHA to build, because right now it's costing $700,000 to build a unit, which is just incredibly expensive. When I came to CBA little over a decade ago, it would cost about $300,000 to build, so the cost has literally doubled, and it's
And
just
Julie,
almost
this is a
impossible.
very important part of the show. Thank you for the donuts you brought in. Lee brought in donuts too, and thank you for your generosity. Looking forward to enjoying this. Thanks. Back over to you.
And I'm actually excited for Francisco running and all the new candidates that are running for first time this time around. I'm actually supporting one of the acre candidate, Sidney Liang. He's been a community member for 30, 40 years and has done a lot of work for the community. And I'm actually really excited to have someone who's willing to say what he wants to say, and has really community in mind and wants to work for the community and listen to community. I personally think city councilors, their job is really to work on policy, budget, and overseeing city manager hiring and evaluating. And I hope the new candidates really think about the core responsibilities of city council. As nice as it is to get potholes fixed and all of that, but what is their job, right? If you have good staff at the city, they can do that. But making good policy that's gonna stay in long term, I think it's going to be important. And Francisco talked a little bit about police budget, but that's something that I'm passionate about, and that's something that Eric is very passionate about. And I think it's really important. Things are getting really expensive, as I said. The housing is getting expensive, but providing service is very expensive. So how does city really think about spending tax dollars money in a most efficient way? And I do think that there's a lot of additional staffing at the city that's been created in the last few years.
A lot of
especially with-
fat can be cut, right? Let's cut it. There's a lot of ponds that the city manager can get rid of before we get rid of the queen. And it's time to have an audit. It's time to look at the budget line by line, not just accept. I mean, as a city councilor, your number one job is oversight over your city manager. Tommy is a great manager, but you still, as a city councilor, have to keep him in line with the big picture of the city. I mean, it's good to create jobs, but do we really need these jobs created, and what is the purpose of these jobs that are being created? I personally think we have top-heavy management problem in the city, and it has to be addressed. I mean, we're a poor city. We need to have more Indians in the city doing more work, and I think that's going to help everyone, and it's going to thrive. The city's going to thrive from that.
I guess my only problem, with the ARPA money, we fill positions with some of that ARPA. It's one-time money, so now we're burdened with the healthcare, the pension later on. Where are we coming up with that money? At Greater Lowell, we did not, when we had the ESSA money, we did not use that to create positions. We used it for one-time things. So we put and this ties in with the housing with you, we tried to build a 12 classroom extension off the building. We can only do 8. We spent $5 million to do the 8, where before COVID, the $5 million would have got us 12. So there's a problem with the supplies. The supplies have gone up 40, 50% in the last 5 years. So that's why we're seeing, and I mean, I work in it doing the Verizon. That's where we're seeing the $700,000 to build a unit. And that's the problem I see with the affordable piece, because no one's going to sink that money and not want their return on investment. That's just human nature. Like when the landlords, and this is part of the housing problem. We'll turn around in the city, we'll say, okay, it's 2.5%. Then you go around, you appraise it, you up the appraisal price, say $100,000. Well, that's not a 2.5% now. It's 2.5 on top of that $100,000, and then we hit them with the water and sewer. Well, the landlords are gonna pass that on to the tenants. And they're not gonna eat that. They're not in the business to lose money, they want money back. I mean, I understand that. And it's human nature, you're just not gonna lose money on it. And that's the hard part with the affordable housing piece. I mean, you're right, there are some regulations that should be gone, but I just can't see lifting like zoning pieces in a single, putting a home on a 4,000 square foot lot. I mean, it's just, to me, it's gonna just congest a neighborhood and do the complete opposite of what we want. Because it's gonna bring down the neighborhood. But you're right, I mean, the supply chain is crazy right now. And I mean, I love how people are saying, oh, well, prices are coming down. I don't know, I'm still paying $200 for my groceries, where 7 years ago I was paying $125, and I didn't change my eating habits. I'm still a kid that likes to eat. So it's just, I haven't really changed
Prices are not
much.
going down, and in the city of Lowell, we have some pantries, for the
Right.
food bank to provide some food for food pantries, and you're seeing a lot more people coming, and people that didn't used to come to food pantries are also coming because they don't have enough. And as you said, the rents. I was actually talking to one of my father's CNA, and she rents, and she pays almost $3,000
Yeah,
to rent.
yeah, no, it's,
And that's more than any mortgage that I have ever paid. Even, I've actually owned multifamilies, and my mortgage on three-decker was less than $3,000, of course, years ago. So cost has gone up so much for people, and people have to stretch, really thin. So there has to be other ways.
I mean, I hear it when I'm doing installs, the firehouse installs and stuff in the city, and some of the landlords are like, look, we have to pass on the tax increase and the water increase and the sewer increase, because the bottom line is they have to upkeep that property, they have to put a nest egg aside for boiler goes, a hot water tank, and they're not gonna eat that cost. It's just, they're not, and that's the problem with the affordable housing piece right now, because everything's skyrocketed ever since COVID. And you can't tell me that, okay, if the gas drops 50 cents, which it hasn't, but it drops 50 cents, that price isn't going down. They'll still tell you the delivery charge is what it is. I mean, once they find out, and this is big business, once they find out we can afford to pay it, that's what you're paying. And that's where we are with eggs and gas and beef and chicken and all this stuff. I mean, that's where we're at. I don't see it coming down.
No, and we're asking the taxpayers to absorb some of this cost, but yet, where's the government side? Where are we absorbing the cost? Because I don't see our budgets going down or staying at the same level. And I know the costs have gone up, but at the same time, I go out and talk to neighbors, and they're saying, hey, Cisco, I can't even afford a solid piece of meat. This was an administrator of the Lowell Police Department telling me this on Campbell Street. I can't afford a solid piece of meat. I'm eating hamburger. And I looked at the price because I really don't shop. It's $5.29 a pound for hamburger.
Well, I buy my steak at Market Basket, right, and I look for manager specials.
I love
And
it. I do
the
the same
best steak that they have is $19.99 per pound. Last week, manager special was $15.99, so I packed up on them. That's who I save money with, is Market Basket. I just want to take over for a second, going back to Cisco, just for 1 minute.
Oh, back to me.
Yeah, because this is, when you talked about the police department, I think it's one of the organizations we have to make sure we have the best. And we've lost a lot of great sergeants. Now, people that run for office like yourself, a policeman, we had Bernie Lemoyne done great things for this city. We also had a guy named Timmy Golden, was a sergeant. He was the same rank as you. Topped the ticket every year he run for school committee. I called him the Prince of Paraprofessionals. He basically, in my eyes, and I'm going back 25, almost 30 years ago, he brought in paraprofessionals. There is nothing more important than a paraprofessional. And in hospitals, where I've been in a lot of them lately, there's PCAs, personal care assistants. They do more than the nurses do. Nurses are on computers worrying about medications. They're not the same nurses that I remember when I was younger. It's a different field altogether. But what are we going to do to replace guys like yourself? Timmy Golden, to me, would have been a perfect sergeant for me. I love sergeants. I worked in the same type of structure, but behind walls. I worked in a prison. Leadership is so important. And your rank as a sergeant, to me, is number one rank. That's the number one most important rank there is. Everybody else, to me, is what you were saying, top heavy. That's how I feel. I feel like losing you as a sergeant after listening to you, coming from Shaughnessy Terrace, are you kidding me? I think right now I have to say it before I flip it back over to young Jew. I've been on this show for a few years, and you're one of the best persons I've seen yet, Francisco.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been learning a lot on the streets. And we mentioned good sergeant. My good sergeant was Mickey O'Keefe, okay? Even though a few times I almost shot him, friendly fire would have been easily done. We talk about the story a couple of times, me and Eric Wayne, with Sergeant O'Keefe. We had an incident where we had a domestic situation where we had an armed individual with a knife, a butcher knife, and Wayne and myself, we have our guns drawn, pointed in the direction of the suspect with the knives, and here comes Sergeant O'Keefe barreling in between us to save this kid's life, because it was a life or death situation. If that individual had made the bad move, and Eric looked at me and I looked at him, and it was like, who's gonna pull the trigger first here, because this guy is putting us in danger. We had our backs to the place, the basement. We're in the basement, it's cluttered, it's like boxes everywhere, so we really didn't have an escape route, and we had to really, that decision was there. It was real close. But Sergeant O'Keefe came along, broke right in between us, between two pointed guns, and actually disarmed the guy, and he was always willing to put his life on the line here in Lowell, and he always, didn't have a problem. And he taught me one thing. He said, just slow it down, kid. Slow it down, kid. People want to be heard. That's all. And that's all I want to do, continue. I want to hear people. Give them the time to speak. You can work with anyone and de-escalate any situation, or learn how to please them so that it comes down to a level where you become, friends, pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've met a few captains recently that I'm really impressed with. One was Marisol Nobriga.
And yes.
I met her the other night at Lindsay's. And the other one would be Mike Kilmartin. I worked with him in the prison, another captain. That tremendous people. We have some great staff, but I'm still concerned about what we've lost. We've lost a lot of people to retirement, and they're not being replaced. And that's one occupation to me that we have to do something about that. And I don't know the answers. You might be able to help as a city councilor, but
But you also have to
Yeah, go ahead.
have, relationship with young people, police, if police can go out and, play basketballs with, young people. And, we used to have UTEC where kids used to drop in and, you can go to places like that. And we don't have a lot of places for young people to go to. Yes, we have Boys and Girls Club, but we have some, I know we have a lot of nonprofits, but there are some services that are really missing that can really give good foundations and proper channeling to for young people. I actually know a young person who wants to be in a law enforcement type of area. He doesn't know, and he keeps asking me, and I should actually connect. I definitely will connect you
him
to
with me. I'll take him out.
He just graduated from MCC, and he's going to be going to UMass Lowell. But we need mentorship, and we need police. And this is actually my opinion, but I personally think we should have some type of residency requirement, because when you have people that are from Lowell or people who live in Lowell, working in Lowell, then you can have more relationship with young people and mentor these young people. I understand it's really hard to recruit people, but there are ways to maybe have grandfather in the people that are already in the places, but start recruiting more people and having more a residency requirement for people that are making over $100,000. That would actually also increase the income level of the people that are living in the city, because I don't know what percentage of like police officers that produce fire, or even city officials that live in Lowell, but they all are making over $100,000.
I agree. I think,
I'm
again,
going to hold you
excuse
up for
me,
a second there,
just
Lee.
one sec.
This is sent in from your colleague Ralph Hogan. So Lee, could you read what Ralph Hogan has to write this morning?
John Lee is spot on regarding budget spending, inquire about including water and sewage fees back in the city property tax, thus allowing the property owner to deduct some of the cost on federal tax once again. Ralph. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well.
Thanks,
let's-
Ralph.
Let's go back to that Drake piece with the trash fees, right? It wasn't gonna be part of the tax, their tax, bill, so they can't write it off. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know what the law is about the enterprise account, if you can put it back in the taxes or not. I mean, I don't know how that works, because the water and sewer are enterprise account, just like the parking. So I don't know if that complicates it with going back into the taxes. I don't know. But, he's right. I mean, look, here's the deal with me. Opera money is one-time spending. So that's money that needs to fix problems.
I agree.
You just can't bring it on and put it, add positions, because later on down the road, you have to fund those positions. Unless you know you're bringing that money in to fund those positions, or you're willing, let's use your plan with the upper echelon of the police. How do you get rid of these people in the, those positions, not people, I don't like saying people, those positions? Now, do we do it by attrition? Which, if a deputy chief retires, say in 2 years, okay, we don't fill that position. We're not cutting that person, we eat that money for 2 years, and we're empathetic. You know what I mean? And that's how you get rid of a position, unless you're gonna go through with an X-Acto knife. I mean, you can talk about the city budget. There's been, a couple years back, I know Eric made a motion to go line by line, he couldn't get a second. So, is the will there? I remember, and I said this last time I was on with Bobby, I remember the water department, Ned Tommy sitting up there for 2 days, trying to get a 3% increase in the budget of the water department, and he got a 1.5. He had to explain line by line why he needed that. We don't do that anymore. I don't know if the will's not there, or they're saying, okay, this budget's fine.
We also, I don't think, have a lot of city councilors that really are looking at the budget, and maybe their skills is not in like
can't
like
process the
reading
budget.
a budget. So I really do think there are very few counselors that really understand like the budget, whole budget in general. And the other piece that I see as this is a huge system problem is government budget is done year to year. And, most of us, when we're thinking about retiring early, we project, right, to the future. And we don't just budget for year to year or month to month. A lot of us really like to look at bigger picture. Okay, what is it going to look like in 5 years? And, like we have all these buildings in the city. How much money do we need to repair these? And so we can't just look at this year, but we also need to look at next year, year after, and next, 5, 10 years. And if that's not happening, so yes, we're spending ARPA money. We're gonna spend all of this on fire trucks this year. But what's gonna happen 10 years or 15 years from now when all those trucks needs to be replaced? Are we gonna be able to replace all of them all at once?
See, I think the fire trucks, I think that was a good investment, and
It absolutely
this is
was.
me saying this, because we're buying it, and I deal with this in the Greater Lowell with the busing, because after school sports, we weren't getting picked up, so we had to buy vans. I would rather buy the vans now, put a capital plan in place to replace them later on, because we're paying, say, fake number, $50,000 for a fire truck, which we know it's not 50,000. 7 years from now, you're gonna be paying 150,000. So the ARPA money was one-time spending, that was a good spend. Now,
But do we have a capital plan?
Eric was on earlier, and we went at it, and Bobby heard me. I just don't think yes, it's all great on paper, okay, it's all great, but are we gonna maintain that maintenance plan?
Exactly.
Are we gonna have the will? And I said this earlier, Bobby, yep, that the councils 5 years from now could look like geniuses if they maintain the plan, because the cost is gonna start coming down. Or we could all look,
I mean, I would
like
have loved
adults
to have
and-
seen all the ARPA money to go into infrastructure work, to pay less later and have less maintenance than, creating all these positions or just one time, just spending on places or the festivals and all of these things that, money got spent on. And I just don't think it was a very efficient way to spend the once-in-a-lifetime money that city got.
Two little issues, okay? Fire trucks start at 200 grand, that's a cheap one,
Right.
and they go up to $1 million a piece. So take the $50,000 and
So John, ask AI, see if you can do it. What will be the cost of a fire truck in 7 years?
Listen, we're running out of time.
you got 8 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to bring one thing up, the Smith Baker Center. Young Jude, not too long ago, I remember you looking at that building to see if you could take it over.
I
And
want
you,
to talk about that too.
well, I want you to get the last few minutes
Sure.
to sell yourself. I just want to hear young Jude's opinion on the Smith
Not
Baker
much
Center.
on that, Lee, sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
Smith Baker Center, probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago, would have been, you would have been able to renovate the building for $11, $13 million. Now, the estimate is, close to $30 million. And in a time where times are so tough for everyone, is that building worth saving? It's a beautiful building. I wanted to see that building preserved probably more than average person, but realistically speaking and really thinking about what we need in this community, do we need, even if it's someone else's money, do we want to put $30 million into that project, or do we want to put $30 million into other projects that's going to help this city prosper more, is how I look at it. And good for the people that are working to preserve it, because I know they're all passionate and I know why they're so passionate about that building. But for me, if I had $30 million, there's absolutely other projects that I can do to create more housing, more services for mental health, and more money for education, because education is a foundation for people like us
Yeah, and Jill,
to have
before you-
to be where we are.
Before the show's over, again, okay? I'm all for getting more apartments, I'm all for getting more living space. Do you have a solution about the parking? Where are you gonna park?
I don't have solution about parking, but I agree with you. We need to have enough parking, but some certain population doesn't have as many cars. Like
I've been that song and dance,
Yeah,
okay?
no.
I'll take a walk down a South Street, okay? That just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
okay?
but if
So-
you look at CBA's housing, like especially in North Canal apartments, half of those parking spaces are vacant for all the time.
So we have to look for a solution.
But we absolutely
for
need
our
parking.
parking problem.
Yes.
And it's height. If you have the first 4 stories of the building, the drive-in garage, and the next 8 stories apartments, the solution is the cars inside. Who doesn't want to park inside? We have to build structures that will support the
Yeah.
vehicles of the people who live in the building, to keep them safe and to keep them dry.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with you that parking is, important and, but at the same time.
I don't wanna know-
I lived in Boston.
Yep.
Where, I actually used to have, 2, 3-deckers, so I had 6-unit, apartment building that I had owned, in Boston. I had 2 parking spaces. And then, a couple spaces like front of it. I had, I lived in one of the unit and I had 5 renters.
We have 14
And we were able to figure out parking.
Lowell has 14 square miles. A magnificent structure recently built up by Lowe's has the parking within the campus of where the people live. It's a fantastic project.
I have to interrupt, I'm sorry, I'm the host, and I just want to end it with this. I think it's time to take the Smith Baker Center down. I like Lee Gitschier's idea about taking the adult education and put it in the old Low Trade School when we move those students out of there. That said, I want to pass it over to Francisco. You got a couple of minutes. Talk to the people, tell them why that they should vote for you, my friend.
Well, if they really want to know more about me, on June 18th, we're having a signing function. There's going to be music, food. and shirts and buttons and signs to take home if you were really interested in supporting me. I will have plenty of time to talk to you individually and tell you more about myself. I want to continue serving the city. I've been here for my whole life. I was born here. I was a police officer for 29 years. I just retired. I'd like to continue serving. I know a lot about the city. I know the good and the bad. I also think that as someone who's been here, I've seen where our expenses have gone up, our taxes have gone up, and the city isn't getting any better. It's time to reduce the expense and look forward. And I think we really need to concentrate on bringing businesses into the city. But the problem is, we're developing all the available property into housing, and we're trying to consider that affordable when it's really not affordable to build anything right now. I think we have units that we can reduce the cost, and the only way you can reduce that cost, you have to reduce on government. You have to make government smaller so taxes are not as expensive, and services have to go down too. The prices are going crazy, and we just spoke about that being offset by the property owners onto the tenants. It's not helping. It's not helping the homeless population, the housing demand. We're a poor city. We should be thinking about, the poor folks and trying to keep our costs down.
All right, appreciate it. Lee, how'd your graduation go at the Greater Lowell Technical High School?
It was great. I mean, smooth, hour, 45 minutes, out of there in 2 hours, pretty good. It was real good.
Did they charge you you?
Of course, come on,
Is it
course.
only 20,000?
add another 10.
$30,000, huh?
add another
When
10.
we used Spinners Park to have our graduation during COVID, no one would give me a price, and I think it's upwards of 60,000
Well,
they
so
charged us.
the problem with this is I get to see the warrants when we sign off on it, and I look at everything. So I just kind of go down and I'm like, okay, I saw it, and it is what it is.
I was told it was a beautiful
You know what,
graduation.
I'd rather have it there because, you can give 8 tickets a family, and, that way there, if you're a divorced family, each side gets 4, 2 and 2, and then you can bring the grandparents as the 4. So it's better than having it at the auditorium.
Young Jew, thank you for bringing in the donuts. I wish I gave you more time, but.
Can I just actually promote
Go ahead.
Sidney Liang's event? He
Yeah,
has
go
a
ahead.
campaign kickoff event on June 20th at 5:30 at Pastime Social Club on 371 Moody Street.
There you go.
This right here. What
Yeah.
district is he running? 7?
It's District 7, so this is an acre neighborhood. And, I worked in acre neighborhood, and I would like to see a new city councilor who
Say goodbye,
will
kids.
promote.
Second
s-
primary
Run out
number?
of time. Thank
See
you
you
very
tomorrow.
much, but
Thanks for
thanks.
watching.
There's going to be a primary in that.
Yeah.